Good afternoon. Hi, it's Jason Lipfeld, and this is Friday afternoon. It is, I believe it's still April 29th, 2022. And we've just come back from spring break, and this is the Friday Hostos Student Leadership Academy Friday Ambassador Workshop Series. We're glad that you could be here with us today for an extraordinary speaker, a talented individual, somebody who brings light and love and just a rare eloquence when she's in our midst. And so I'm not going to belabor this and talk too much. I will turn this workshop over to my good friend Jessica Janniere. And by the way, everybody who participates in this workshop in person is going to get a free copy of her book. So, Jessica, you're on.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And by the way, that book is signed, it's autographed. I personalized every book with a very special and unique message. So I hope that every book that is received in each person's hand is an encouragement to you, and that message really touches your heart, because I did write it from my heart. So Jason, thank you for your leadership. I'm so grateful to be here another year, another season, and another opportunity to really have an experience, because that's what we're going to have today. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the screen share. I know folks are still coming in, and as we're kind of giving them a little bit of time to join, we're going to go ahead and get the party started. How many of you came ready for an experience today? Just type ready in the chat. Type ready in the chat. What I want to say is I want you to maximize your experience today by getting fully engaged. Yes, Sabrina, I see you. Thank you, Jason. I see you, Abby, Francine. And to really get the full maximum experience of today, I'm going to encourage you to be fully involved, to be fully present, to grab a pen and paper, to engage in the chat, to allow yourself to use your voice and to share your thoughts and your impressions, because people need to hear what you have to say. They need to hear your experiences and to participate in some of the activities we're going to do. So we're going to start off with having a little fun, and I see those ready still coming in. Thanks, Saba, Christina. I'm so glad you came ready, and we're going to get this party started. Okay, I pulled up the screen with the wrong thing, but here we go. So today we are looking up and beyond, and that's going to make more sense as we move forward. However, I have these puzzles on the screen, and they're called Rebus puzzles. And I'd like for someone to raise your hand if you know what this means. Thank you, Sabrina. Appreciate the shout out. So there's going to be a puzzle on the screen, and I'd like to see if anyone can solve this Rebus puzzle. Does anyone know what this puzzle means? If you know, you can either unmute yourself or just raise your hand, or you can type it in the chat. I feel like I should have like Jeopardy music in the background, you know, because kind of makes us think a little bit. Does anyone know the answer to this? All right, I see something coming in the chat. Sabrina said top secret. You got it. Awesome, awesome. Okay, next one. Does anyone know what this puzzle means?
1 in a million.
Yes, Sabrina. Okay, you're on a roll. Love it. Next one. You can type it in the chat. You can
Scrambled eggs.
What's that?
Scrambled eggs.
Scrambled eggs. Okay. Sabrina's taking over today. You came fired up and ready. All right. Anyone know this one?
Travel overseas.
Rahina. Okay. Yes. Travel overseas. Francine can't see anything? Okay. Is everyone seeing the screen? I just want to make sure it's nothing on my end.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so Francine, I don't know if you're on a phone. Thank you, Abby. Or if you're on a PC. But if you're on a phone, you just have to move the images. And I'm not the best tech person, so forgive me for my poor instructions. The next one, next Rebus puzzle. Get some music, man, in the background.
I understand.
Yes, Tahina, love it. You got it. All right. This one had me stumped. I'm going to be very impressed with the person that figures this one out because I could not figure this one out. Can anyone figure out this puzzle? Anyone want to take a guess, a shot at it?
I fell 7 times and got up 8. I don't know, maybe.
Well, okay, you not quite, but good guess. Good guess, good guess. So for those that just joined, we're doing some Rebus puzzles, and I have a puzzle on the screen. And the question is, what does this mean? All right, do I need to give it away? Do I need to give it away? Just type yes if I need to give the answer. Type yes in the chat. Okay, so this one is Eiffel Tower. Stands for Eiffel Tower. Dalian is cracking up. All right, next one. Can anyone figure this one out?
Forgive and forget.
Yeah, who said that?
Me, Sabrina.
Okay, yeah, I can't see everybody's screen. So great job. Yep, you got it. You got it. And I think we have 1 or 2 more. This one?
Think outside the box.
Who said that?
Tahina.
Yep, you got it. Awesome. And next one. This one was difficult for me too. I'm not gonna lie, this one had me
A cup
stumped.
of soup.
Close,
No, it's not that.
very close. Very close. Any other guesses? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share the answer. I'm telling you, when I tell you, you're gonna be like, oh man, why didn't I get that? That's how I felt. Split pea soup. You see the split pea?
Oh, it was
Oh
close.
my goodness, right?
Yeah.
Man, I was so upset with myself. I'm like, Jess, you couldn't get this? Okay, this is the last one. Who can guess this one? I didn't get this one either.
Cranberry?
Who said that?
Tahina.
You got it.
Oh no, I said it before Jason though. I said it before him.
Oh, he typed it in the chat. Okay, he typed it in the chat. Well, you're both right. Awesome. Okay, I love it. That was fun. All right, so that was the last slide. So why did I start with that? Well, sometimes in life, some things are very evident, right? We look at them and the answer and the meaning is right in front of us. It's comprehensible, it's evident, it's easy to identify. However, sometimes things are a little bit more complex and they require us to think a little deeper and they require us to do a little exploration and really get an understanding of what's going on. And so I love these Rebus puzzles because I think they're a really great way for us to transition into what we're going to cover today. We're really talking about a coin phrase of look up and beyond. It's the name of my organization. It's the name of my book, which you're going to get a copy of. But it's more than that to me, and I hope that after today, it's more than that to you, that it's not just a coin phrase, but it's something that becomes a lifestyle. For me, it's a mindset and it's a lifestyle that I embrace every single day. And so sometimes in that, things are complex. And today, as we've gathered for this session, this is what we're going to cover. We're going to gain a greater level of self-awareness to improve our self-image, self-confidence, and self-acceptance. Everyone here is a leader. Am I talking to leaders today? If I have leaders in the room, just type yes in the chat. Type yes in the chat. And as a leader, we need to have the self-awareness so that way we can have the people awareness to better serve those that we've been called to serve. Yes, Bernice, I see you, Janelle, Dolly Ann, keep those yeses coming. The other thing we're going to focus on is increasing your effectiveness as a leader, no matter the level you're at, so that you can make a greater impact. And then this is where it becomes exciting. You're going to discover the clarity and tools needed to look up and beyond, to reimagine a fulfilling life personally and professionally, no matter the adversity you face. So one of the things that I mentioned earlier, for those that joined a little bit later, is that to maximize your experience today, I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things. To be fully present, to grab a pen and paper, because there will be times for you to take notes and reflect on some things. And then also to continue to engage in the chat box. And lastly, to affirm yourself when I share specific affirmations. And remember, how we do one thing is how we do everything. So today's a really great day to challenge yourself to get fully engaged in this process so you can receive the full benefits of what we're covering today. So let's start with the first affirmation, and that is, I am a leader. I am a leader. Just type it in the chat, and as you're typing it, just say it where you are. I am a leader. I love it, Suprina. Whoa, she put it in capital letters, exclamation marks. Yes, Isabel, Dolly Ann, Abby, I see you. Yunaka, I hope I'm saying your name right. Francine, affirm it right where you are. I am a leader, because words and affirmations are just the way to not just speak something, but to begin to believe it and to walk in that direction. Christina, I see you. Yes, Rayon and Junior. I'm so grateful to have you all here. So we're talking about look up and beyond. And look up and beyond, again, is a lifestyle that really challenges us to look above the adversities of life, the difficulties of life, those that we experience in and outside of leadership. And so I have on the screen a couple of different words that I believe are created and experienced when we have obstacles and difficulties. Would you agree with these, that when times are difficult, that these are things that you experience or that you see in the people that you're leading? And if so, Tahina said, that's a pile of me right there. Tahina, that's a pile of all of us at some point, right? That is a pile of all of us. And unfortunately, sometimes we can get kind of stuck there, and we want to make sure that we're not stuck in any particular area if we're dealing with some of these things, whether it's phobia, whether it's shame, grief, panic. What are some other things that people experience from your own experience or that you've observed in your leadership when difficult times come, when life gets tough, when adversities hit? You can go ahead and type it in the chat. What are some other things that people experience? We know depression is very rampant. We know that people are still dealing with PTSD, post-traumatic stresses from the last couple of years. Tahina said peer pressure. That is something that is very real. Bernice said lonely. People are loneliness. They're experiencing loneliness. Suprina said addiction. Absolutely. So often these different emotional triggers lead us to things that would comfort us temporarily, and that's where addictions are developed. Tahina said suicide. Absolutely. I am a 3-time suicide attempt survivor, so I understand and know that that is a very real thing, and that is something that is an epidemic right now. Sabotage, yes, self-sabotage. We did a workshop on that a couple of months ago when I spoke here at Hostos, and we talked about self-sabotaging behavior. Rayon said temptation, absolutely. Sometimes temptations to do things that we know are not necessarily good for us. Yunaka said abuse. Tahina said self-harm, imposter syndrome. Man, you guys have all of these powerful responses, and you're very aware of what's going on and how adversity is creating these experiences. So this is going to be very, very powerful today. So for those of you that don't know me, I want to share a little bit about my background and how I ended up doing this work. I know some of you are already familiar with my story, but I'm the founder of an award-winning organization called Look Up and Beyond. And again, that is not just the title of my organization, but it really is a lifestyle that I've embraced. I'm a nationally recognized adversity expert. As someone who's experienced a lot of adversity in my life, I have been very, very fortunate to be able to reframe the negative experience of my life and find my purpose and be able to make an impact in the lives of others. I'm the director of mentoring services for GEMS, which is a girls mentoring program. So I train women who want to mentor teen girls. I do that in Jamaica, Queens, here in New York City. And I've also been a facilitator with the National Student Leadership Conference, where I've spoken with students internationally from Mexico and Panama and Costa Rica. And I'm also a beloved wife. I just celebrated my 20th wedding anniversary with my boo. And I have 3 children. 2 of them are college students, and 1 is a high school student. I'm a hiker. Any hikers in the house? Any hikers in the house? And Dalian, I did see your last comment about lashing out and becoming aggressive. So that was a good add-on. Any hikers, any foodies? Because I am a hiker and a foodie, and I'm also addicted to helping others thrive beyond adversity. I love to see people winning and moving from surviving to thriving. So my story started on a farm in Germany. I'm just going to share a little bit about my background. I think is really important for those that are not familiar with my story. And I lived on this farm for the first 6 years. My grandparents, my Oma and Opa, actually raised me. I don't know my biological father, and my mom at the time was in an abusive relationship. She was homeless, and she had a lot of family conflict and things that were happening that prevented her from being a nurturing and present mom. 6 years later, she had remarried, and she showed up at my grandparents' house and said that she was going to take me to America with her new husband and my siblings through that marriage. We ended up coming to America, and my life changed very drastically. Not only did my life change culturally, but it also changed socioeconomically, and it changed on a lot of different levels. I moved from this innocent farm to this little bungalow that you see here on the screen. It was during the 80s when the crack epidemic was at its height. It was a very poor community. There was a lot of violence. I saw a lot of things at a very young age, and including people getting shot, people getting stopped by undercover police. I didn't even know at the time that I was witnessing police brutality. I didn't even know what the war on crime was, but I literally witnessed it, saw so many of those things firsthand. And I went from a happy kid to a very sad and depressed kid, as you can see the little girl on the right side of your screen. And I had a lot of problems in school because I was actually in a school where I was the only, I was the minority. I was the only white kid in a school with 98% African-American and Latino students. And so it created a challenge because now I was getting bullied and I had to learn the language. My first language was German. So coming to this country and experiencing all of that created a lot of trauma. On top of that, I was abused inside of my home. My stepfather was an alcoholic, He was abusing my mom and I. So there was domestic violence prevalent for 16 years. And that was very problematic, as you can imagine. So I see some comments coming in the chat. Okay. And so as I got older, I developed a lot of self-esteem issues. This is me as a teenager. By the time I was a teenager, I was a high-risk teen. I was having trouble in school. I was self-harming. I was suicidal. I had a lot of different things happening. These are my siblings, my dear sisters. And I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, and I was really struggling as to where my life would go. And something happened that really changed the trajectory of my life. And that was that at the age of 15 years old, my sister, who's pictured here, was murdered due to gang violence. And it was one of the most traumatic times in our family and in my life. And it was something that really shook me up and gave me, I guess, the inspiration and the wake-up call that I needed to start to look at life from a different lens. And during my time of grieving, I knew that I didn't want to become a statistic, and I wanted to keep my sister's memory alive. And so in order to do that, I had to start taking some inventory and reflecting on myself as to where I would go from where I was and how I would heal from the trauma that I experienced. And fast forward some years later, after being married and raising children and really working on myself, going on a healing journey, I knew that I wanted to become an author and work with young people. That's why I ended up working with the GEMS program, and I ended up writing the book, Look Up and Beyond, that again, you're all gonna get a copy of, and it was in memory of my sister. And so I was able to travel across the country and work with students from many different levels and educators that work with students. And it's just been an incredible, incredible journey, and spreading the message of look up and beyond, which is we don't have to just keep our eyes on our circumstances or on our past, but we can reimagine a future where things are brighter and fulfilling and better and healthier. This is my family. Again, my husband and I, we just celebrated 20 years, and these are my babies. And I always love to show them off because they were my second inspiration. After my sister passed, I looked at my children and said, I want to end the cycle of abuse and end the cycle of trauma in my family, and been able to do that. But here's what I've learned along the way and on the journey. And this is what I'm so excited to share with all of you today, is that life is full of obstacles and adversities that try to keep us stuck. However, we don't have to fall victim to that. What I have realized in the last couple of months is I've been speaking virtually. I started going back out into in-person events. And one of the things that I'm noticing is that a lot of people are tired. I'm speaking of fatigue. Has anyone felt tired? Like you're just tired. You go to sleep, but you're tired. Is anyone resonating with that? Just put a yes in the chat. Like no matter what you do, you just feel tired all the time. And you can't really figure out, why am I always tired? Sabrina said, I felt that way today. Abby said, yes. Annie, Dalianne, Rose said me. So I'm glad I'm speaking to the right group. And if it's not you right now, think about during the last 2 years, if you fell into a cycle of always feeling tired and like the obstacles and the adversities of life just kind of took the wind out of you. Today, we're going to explore why that is and how to override that. Christina said yes, but not always. Sally said yes. So we're going to talk about the 5 types of fatigue. I want to point this out before we go into the next segment, because I found this to be very, very important. Again, speaking with students, speaking with professionals, speaking with just people in general, and realizing across the board, I think we're all just kind of tired. But what does that mean? Where is it coming from? And how do we combat it so that way we're not feeling so exhausted all the time? Yunaka said yes. So that's what we're going to explore today. So I'm going to talk about the different types of fatigue. And if you have a pen and paper, which I encourage everyone to get, this is a great time to take some notes. so you can explore if this is something that's present in your life and to get a better understanding of it. The first type of fatigue is helper fatigue. Well, what is helper fatigue? Isn't it great to be a helper? How many helpers are in the room today? If you are a helper, just type yes in the chat. If you consider yourself a helper, and that should be everyone, right? Because leaders are helpers. Yes. So a helper is someone that you pour all of your effort and your energy into others. However, you don't leave any energy for yourself. So you're always serving others. You're always pouring into other people. You're always filling other people's cup. But the question is, who's filling your cup? Are you taking time to pour energy and effort into your needs? And most of us as leaders, we don't do that, or we don't do it intentionally where we avoid burnout. We usually do it when we're forced to do it, when we cannot function anymore. The next type of fatigue is compassion fatigue. How many compassionate folks here? Not compassion, depression fatigue. Let me move this box so I can actually see. Depression fatigue. We talked about in the beginning, right, that adversities and the difficulties and trials of life create depressive moments. Now, I'm not talking about clinical depression here. Let me just be clear on that. I'm not a licensed therapist. I am going to say that depression, meaning situational. So depression fatigue is from fighting off and carrying the weight of negative, intrusive thoughts that make you feel shame, that make you feel numb and worthless, and even hopeless. Remember, we talked about suicide, depression, anxiety, self-harm. A lot of these come from depression fatigue. Depression fatigue. This is again to create awareness, to say, if I'm experiencing fatigue, why? Where is it coming from? Remember, having that self-awareness and having that self-compassion. Sabrina said, I went through this last year when my dog suddenly died. My condolences to you. I know that an animal and a pet is like a family member. My daughter taught me that because I'm not an animal person. I'll be very honest with you, but I've learned to be so much more compassionate and empathetic because I've watched my daughter be a cat mom, and she loves her cat like a child. And I'm just like, wow, you say like something happens to her cat, she is just devastated. So she's really taught me and given me some insight on how someone can really love their pet and it really just be like a baby to them. So depression fatigue. The next one is future fatigue. How many visionaries are here? We're going to talk about visionaries, right? But future fatigue is when I am exhausted because I'm spending so much time working towards a future goal that I neglect my needs in the present moment. And sometimes I sabotage my mental health in the process. So it's about being really struggling to be present in the moment, to recognize that, yes, although I'm working towards a goal, that there's so much here for me in the day, today, in the moment, now, with this person, with this experience, with this task. And so because my mind wants to look up and beyond where I am, because I have a vision, I have a dream, I have a goal, what I don't realize is that I'm stuck there and I'm spending so much time there that it's actually unhealthy. And today we want to bring balance to that. For those of you that are visionaries and you tend to think about the future because it appears and it feels like it's going to be so much better than the present moment. Rose said, I have depression fatigue in the process of my new job. I'm so glad that you have the awareness, because today we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do to combat that. The next fatigue, the next common type of fatigue that I'm seeing in leaders, again, across the board, is anxiety fatigue. Now, I have struggled with anxiety for a lot of my life from the trauma. I've struggled with depression, Thankfully, I've been able to combat my anxiety, and I know like how to identify when I get triggered and how to redirect my thoughts so that the anxiety doesn't have me. But if you are familiar with anxiety or you've dealt with it, this particular anxiety fatigue is from being in a constant fight or flight mode. And it's never being able to let your guard down and feel properly safe and grounded in the world. So when I feel anxious and this anxiety is starting to trigger and consume me, I'm in this space where it's fight or flight. I'm always guarded. I'm ready to throw blows. I'm ready to fight, or I'm out of here. I gotta run away from this. I have to take flight because I have to protect myself. And it's exhausting mentally and emotionally to be in a constant space of feeling guarded. And as someone who's lived in a home where domestic violence was prevalent and lived in areas where there was so much violence and crime, I know what that constant feeling of fight or flight feels like. And it can drain us and it can zap us. And so sometimes it's not avoidable depending on where we are, what our environment and circumstances are like, but there are things we can do to lessen the anxiety and to minimize the fears that we're experiencing so that way we don't have to be on constant fight or flight. Is this making sense? Can I get a yes in the chat if you're with me before we go on to the next type of fatigue that's very prevalent right now? Yes, thank you, Sabra. I see it. Thank you, Bernice, Abby. Thank you, Sally. All right, we're going to go to the next type of fatigue, and that fatigue is compassion fatigue. And compassion fatigue is very similar to the ones that we spoke about in the beginning, and helpers tend to experience this. Oftentimes, leaders tend to experience this here. Christina, I have had all 5 of them, so don't feel bad in any way. Compassion fatigue is when we are absorbing other people's emotions and even things that we hear on the news, right? And we experience sensory overload. Now, I'm an HSP, a highly sensitive person. I live near a hospital, so you may hear the sirens. And those things, they trigger me, they affect me, they bother me. But compassion fatigue is when I feel the pain of other people and I'm totally absorbing that. And because we're in a space right now, I'm gonna just stop the screen share for a moment. Because we live in a society, and we're all here in New York, right? The crime rate is unbelievable. It reminds me of the 80s, when I was growing up in Far Rockaway, Queens. It reminds me of the late 80s, early 90s, where there's so much crime everywhere. And it can be very easy to walk around with anxiety, to have these different triggers, and to experience these different things. What I wanted to say was with the compassion anxiety, if you're a highly sensitive person, if you're a very empathetic person, if you are someone who feels your emotions very deeply and very strongly, it is very important to begin to create guards and boundaries around your life so that you're not emotionally and mentally zapped from all of the different things that are happening. So I'll share with my experience. I minimize my news intake. I generally don't watch the news. Most of my news I get from social media when I hop on there or from other people that share things, because I found that the news triggers me and emotionally zaps me. The other thing is I take the train. I live in Brooklyn. I don't have a car. I prefer not to have a car in the city. And my Metro card is my best friend. So I take the train and I travel through the city, and people always say, well, aren't you afraid to go on the train? And I'm like, sometimes yes, because I see some crazy things, but for the most part, no. And what I've learned to do is I've learned to take certain steps that actually minimize my anxiety before I leave home, so that way I'm not on a fight or flight kind of vibe when I'm leaving, and then it's not exacerbated through my travels. So I say all that to say that this is a really great time for all of us to reflect and to say, if I'm feeling exhausted, if I'm constantly feeling tired, how is this affecting my life? And how is this affecting my ability to lead myself, to lead others, and to really move to that next level in my life that I'm envisioning or that I'd like to envision? And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to take some deeper inventory. And this is the time I really would encourage you to take out your pen and paper, and we're going to have a moment of reflection. And I'd like you to take some notes and really begin to think about, out of the different types of fatigues that I just mentioned, which ones are you experiencing? Also, to ask yourself, what have I been tolerating that does not serve me well? What have I been tolerating that does not serve me well? And then how can I begin to rest, recover, and reset so I can function at an optimal level? What are some practical things I can do to immediately honor myself and the needs I have? The goal in this section is to identify what's taking my energy, and what do I need to do to begin to set boundaries and protect my energy? Because until I do that, it's going to be very, very difficult for me to look up and beyond to my goals, my vision, my future, because I'm so consumed by what's happening right now. So I'm going to go ahead and play some music and give everyone about 3 to 4 minutes to do some personal reflection. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to open it up for some feedback. Rose said, I experienced all 5. So I'd like you to take some time to read. You can screenshot these questions as well. So you can put some bullet points down to begin with, and then later on you can go back and do some journaling and get a little bit deeper with it. So while you're doing that, I'm going to play some music. I think I have to, let me stop the share.
I'll be the last one standing, 2 hands in the air, I'm a champion. You'll be looking up at me when it's over. I live for the battle, I'm stronger. Bet my dues, can't lose, I'm my own, yeah. Hey, I've been working my whole life.
I will not put my feet on the floor in the...
Okay. I'm in the wrong place. Let me go back. Are you hearing the music? Can I get a yes in the chat if you're hearing the music? That's what I'm just trying to, let's see here. Yes, okay, so you are hearing the music, that's all. Thank you guys. Let me go back to the screen. We got about 2 more minutes for the reflection.
You'll be looking up at me when it's over. I live for the battle, I'm a soldier. Yeah, I'm a fighter like Rocky. Put your flag on your back like Ali. Yeah, I'm the greatest, I'm stronger. Bet my dues, can't lose, I'm my own, yeah. Hey, I've been working my whole life, and now it's do or die. I am invincible, unbreakable.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and open it up. Any feedback? Let me hear from those of you that are in the room. What's coming up for you? What are you finding and learning about yourself when it comes to fatigue? You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, it's
Hey,
Dolly.
Diane.
Hi. So I've noticed I do have anxiety, future, and depression fatigue. It's a little lot, but yeah, based on what you were saying, that sounded just like me.
Awesome. Have you taken, is this something that you're just now really kind of piecing together or something you were aware of? And have you done anything to combat that?
It's not anything that was recent. It kind of started like 2 years ago, but I have reached out to a counselor who I've been working with, and still working on it.
Awesome. No, thanks for sharing that and for being transparent. It's important for others to hear and to know that, you know, everyone's going through something, and the last couple of years have been tough for a lot of people. And during the pandemic was the time when a lot of people were really triggered with anxiety and depression and things like that. And as leaders, we don't really get the time to be introspective and to really explore our emotions and how our emotions are affecting our ability to grow and thrive. So today what we're doing is we're taking some inventory, because you can't go where you want to go until you know where you really are. That's why this work is so powerful and important. I'm going to move into the next segment of the presentation and what we're covering today. And you're going to see that we're moving into the topic of murkiness. And murkiness is really important because when we're dealing with fatigue, fatigue contributes to murkiness, and murkiness contributes to fatigue. You see, a lack of clarity could put the brakes on any journey to success. And murkiness is when our outlook on life is vague, can be a little confusing, it's gloomy, it's dark, it's not clear. All of these things tie back and are connected to experiences of depression and anxiety and shame and so many of the things that we mentioned before. So how does murkiness show up in our lives? Well, this is going to be a great time for you to take some notes as well, because a lack of clarity creates emotional chaos and frustration. These emotions will kill our goals and our visions. And I'm going to talk about the 4 ways that murkiness shows up and how oftentimes these fatigue experiences, these moments of fatigue are so interconnected. So number 1, the way that murkiness can show up in our lives is when we are a drifter. We're drifting. We're going with the flow wherever the wind blows. It's like, hey, I know I'm in school, I'm taking these classes, but I'm not really sure what I want to do, or I'm on this job, and I'm just kind of showing up in life and I'm kind of drifting. That brings us to a place of great overwhelm when we realize that we're drifting. The other way that murkiness shows up is apathy. What is apathy? Apathy is when I'm experiencing a lack of interest, a lack of enthusiasm, and even a lack of concern. You ever heard someone say, you know what? I don't even care anymore, even though you know that they care, you know they care, but they're so frustrated, or they're so murky, their outlook is so murky that they've come to a place of great apathy. Some of you are experiencing this right now. The next way that murkiness shows up is despondency. To be despondent means to be discouraged. It's like, man, I'm doing everything that I thought I was supposed to do. I'm trying my best. I put 2 steps forward and then I go back 4. And I just feel so discouraged. Life is just taking a knockout has just given me a knockout. It's just knocked me out, taking my breath away with different adversities. And then the fourth way that murkiness shows up is functional. And this is the most common way that I see murkiness show up. And it's one of the most common reasons that we experience fatigue. And that is because we're just functional and we're in a routine and we seem like we're productive. We're helping people, we're leading, we're doing even great work, but deep down we're feeling unfulfilled because there's so much more to where we are or to where we want to be. There's so much more in us. And so the most important thing that we need to work towards is clarity, Because if we don't identify if we're drifting, if we're apathetic, if we're despondent, or we're functional, we're going to remain in a place where we're stuck. And that's where the anxiety and the stress and the fatigue and all of these things continue to recycle themselves in our lives. So am I making sense? Is everyone with me? Can I get a 1 in the chat if you're with me? And if this is resonating with you, is this hitting home? Just put a 1 in the chat. All right, I see you, Abby, Suprina, got you. Yes, Janelle. Thank you, Rose, Yunaka, Rosini. Thanks, Dalian. Sally, I see you. Awesome. Thank you, Sonia Joe. Francine, okay, so how do we begin to move from these places? The first question is which one is present in your life? If you can go ahead and just type in the chat, do you find that you're drifting, that you're apathetic, that you're despondent, or that you're functional but unfulfilled? Just go ahead and type it in the chat. You can write 1 through 4. Okay, so I see some functional. Christina, I see you're at functional. We're doing 1 through 4 based on the order that you see on the screen. Suprina said 3, despondent. Thank you for your honesty. Rose said functional. Bernice said functional. Yunaka said I'm despondent. Rayon said 1, I'm drifting. Thanks for being honest and transparent. Thank you, Dalian. And this is often a result of this time that we're in, the season that we're in, right? Coming through a pandemic, the social climate, the personal stressors that you may be dealing with in your personal life, and your professional endeavors. So Christina said a mixture of 2 and 4, apathy and functional. And Abby said 1, 2, and 4. So I really appreciate the transparency because I think, again, it's important that everyone in the room sees you are not alone. And whether you're at a 1 or a 4, in different seasons of life, we are all at one of these stages or not. And we don't have to stay there. Annie said 1 and 3. Hope I said your name correctly. So how do we begin to move this, move from there? Again, the way that we move beyond the murkiness is that we need to get clarity. So today we're going to go on a little journey and we're going to start the process of gaining clarity. Now, this is very important. This is a process. So the work that we're doing today is not going to all of a sudden bring you out of the drifting or the apathy or this place of being functional right away. But the great thing is that it gives you the ability to course correct and start moving in the direction of breaking into your next level. Does that make sense? Can I get a yes in the chat if you are ready? If you are ready, say, I have clarity. Actually, let's make that the next affirmation. I have clarity. I have clarity. So if you can affirm yourself where you are and type that in the chat, I have clarity. You are affirming that you are going to have clarity moving forward. Yes, Yunaka, I see you, Bridget, Sonia Joe, Amy, Dalian. Yes, just affirm it right now. So we have to face reality on the front end if we're going to build something on the back end. How do we develop clarity? This is going to be really, really powerful. First of all, I want to find out, is there anyone else that would like to share? Yes, Rose, I see you affirming it. I have clarity. Sally, I see you. That would like to share your results from the 4 ways that murkiness shows up. Anyone else? Anyone else experiencing some drifting or what? Anyone have an aha moment and you're like, wow, I never even thought about that. That's why I'm kind of in the place that I'm in. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. And you know what's so powerful about this process is because when things are clear, when there's a light shined on a potential challenge, I see it as a gift because now you're empowered to actually do something about it. There's nothing worse than not knowing what you don't know, right? Because we can't change or correct or improve something that we're not aware is a problem, or if we don't understand what the problem is. All right, so let's go on to how do we begin to move towards clarity when we're experiencing murkiness. I'd like you to type in the chat, I am a visionary. I am a visionary. And we're going to spend the majority of our time really identifying this word vision, because vision is the key component to looking up and beyond. All right, we got some visionaries in the room. I see you, Sally, Annie. All right, Rosini. Love it. I am a visionary. Just affirm it right where you are. Okay, Bernice? So this is how we do it. We have to have a vision for our future. We have to get to a place where we say, you know what? I am a visionary. But what is a visionary? What does it mean to have vision? Yes, Francine, I love it. I am a visionary. Any other visionaries in the room? Yunaka, I see you. You visionary, you love it. Sonia Joe is a visionary. And just keep those affirmations coming in. So let's break down what is a vision. A vision, I don't want to chop up your first name, Baumpondi, but I see Bridget. So if you don't mind me calling you Bridget, let me know so I can refer to you as Bridget, or if I said your name correctly, Baumpondi. And please forgive me if I'm chopping it up. Thank you, thank you. So I see, yes, you are a visionary. So what is a vision? A vision is a conceptual picture of the future. Many of you enrolled in school, many of you have embarked on certain positions. Isabel, I see you. Yes, you visionary, you love it. And you had a conceptual picture of what you want the outcome to be. And the reason that vision is so important to looking up and beyond is because it empowers us to not be defined by our immediate circumstances and where we currently are. However, visionaries also develop the emotional intelligence to recognize and say that although my circumstances are not the best and there are things that I would like to change, I'm going to look for the blessings and the gratitude that I can experience here so I can be present, so that I can avoid future fatigue. I don't want to be so much in the future that I miss the blessing of today. And so a vision is a conceptual picture of the future, and it's a visual manifestation of your purpose, and it's a glimpse into why you may be here on earth. So it's a very powerful and very impactful thing to be a visionary and to have vision. You see, a lot of people, when they think of vision, they think of physical sight, right? Physical sight. But vision is the ability to see beyond the physical. That's what a visionary does. A visionary says, I am seeing an opportunity that God, that life, if you're a person of faith or not, you realize that this is an opportunity that has been placed before me. You see the opportunity. You see, we don't see with our eyes, we see through our eyes. There's a big distinction, there's a big difference. We see with our mind, we see with our heart. And so as you begin to take some time to reflect on your vision and what makes you a visionary and how your vision is going to equip you to look up and beyond this season of life, the difficulties of life, the troubles of life, the setbacks of life, the traumas of life. That vision is going to be the thing that inspires you to move forward, to keep one foot in front of the other, to keep a spirit of hopefulness. And it will energize you to combat the fatigue that's trying to zap your energy. So let's talk about what does it mean to have a vision? Again, it's a conceptual picture of what's to come in your life. And here's the thing about a vision that's very, very important. A vision will always inspire hope. It will always bring fortitude, which again energizes you, and it will always give you a sense of purpose. So the things that you're pursuing, you will feel like, wow, I'm actually contributing to a greater good. And that's very important. That is what leadership is about. That is what looking up and beyond is about. So why is it important to have a vision? A vision shows us where we should put our energy, our time, our money, our resources. Murkiness is the exact opposite. It leads to a waste of energy, a waste of time, a waste of money, and a waste of resources. And so that's why it's very important that we work through the murkiness and we begin to look at the vision and get clarity about, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I working towards this? Why am I putting my money towards this? Why am I showing up and investing the gift of myself, my presence in this here? Because when I do it in things that have no purpose, that don't align with my vision, I'm going to be fatigued. I'm going to be exhausted. So if this is making sense and resonating with you, just give me a 1 in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat. I just want to make sure you're still with me. All right, Dalianne, I see it. Love it. Yes, Junior. Thank you, Bernice, Sally, Francine. I see you're with me. Thanks, Abby. Abby. Thank you, Rosini. I'm trying to close this, this screen share for a moment. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I want to talk to you about some ways to write out your vision. So I'd like you to grab your pen and paper now. And before we go to some reflective questions, I'm going to share with you some ways that you can begin to bullet point and create your vision that's going to inspire you. I'd like you to think about your why. When I started my personal and professional development journey, I was introduced to books like Think and Grow Rich, The Magic of Thinking Big, Thinking for a Change by John C. Maxwell. So all of these different resources. And what I realized is that as much as those resources were powerful, they won't do me any good if I'm not motivated and inspired to actually take action on what I want to do and what I say I'm going to do. And the way that I find my inspiration and my personal motivation is by identifying my why. Now, many of you have probably heard this before. I know that the workshop series and all of the leadership speakers that come in are dynamic. I know many of them. And so this would not be the first time, but I want you to think about it in the context of vision and really looking up and beyond where you are today. Why do I do what I do? And what do I really want? What do I really want? So I'd like to open up the floor and I'd like you to think about what is it that you really want? And as you're getting your thoughts together, I'm going to share with you what my why is and why it became so significant in the work that I do. So a couple of years back, it's more than a couple of years now, but I was in a network marketing company and I was asked to speak. Now, I used to have really bad social anxiety and I wouldn't talk to 3 people in a circle. I would break out in hives, I would get nervous, my stomach would get sick, physically sick. And I remember having a mentor that said to me, Jessica, you are a speaker. And I was like, I am not a speaker. What are you talking about? And he began to create opportunities for me to speak in front of people. And it happened very, very gradually. What I didn't know what was happening is that I was actually being developed to speak and to really discover my purpose through this process. But here's why I share this, because I was so terrified when I started that I needed to find something that would motivate me, that was bigger than me. I needed to borrow somebody else's belief because I didn't really believe in myself. And here's what my why was. My why was that I wanted to make an impact in the lives of people so that no other family would have to bury their teenage child or sibling the way my family had to. My why became that I had my own children and I wanted them to never experience the abuse that I experienced as a child abuse survivor. My why was that I wanted to break the cycle of poverty. As a first generation student, I knew that there were things that were obstacles for me that might not be obstacles for others, but I wanted to set an example and be a model. My why was that I wanted to show my siblings and my kids that it's possible. So my why became something that was about setting a model and being a leader for other people. My question to you today is, as you think about your why, what moves you to a place where you'll do something for others that you wouldn't do for yourself? I'm going to open up the floor. Anyone have anything that's coming up for you as you think about your why? What is your why? I know somebody in here has a strong and powerful why. Because your why is going to be the thing that helps you to reshift your focus. It's going to be the thing that helps you to move away from the fatigue and to find inspiration that will breathe life and energy into your life. Anyone courageous enough to share their why or some parts of your why? Sonia Joe said, my why is my purpose. I have always known that I want to help people. When you say you want to help people, how do you want to help them, Sonia? And are you able to unmute yourself so you can talk? I'd love to hear a little bit more.
Yeah, toddler in the background.
Okay.
I want to help people. I want to help to save lives. I want to bridge that gap in diverse communities as well. At first, when I started this journey, I'm a Caribbean girl, and at first when I started this journey, at my age, I was like, I don't know if I can be a doctor now, because it's gonna take 15 years to really get to where I really want to get to. And so I settled. I found myself settling to become a nurse. And I recently, to be honest, so this is an amazing conversation. I recently came across an opportunity about PA. And I didn't know about the PA side, that you can still do what a doctor do and still, except you're not a doctor, and you can still get that opportunity and you can still fulfill that purpose. So God actually put that purpose back in my life. And so I've always known that I want to be a part of a team that can help to save lives, to put a smile on individuals' faces, to basically offer healthcare to those that can't get healthcare. So that's my why.
That's beautiful and powerful. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's very inspiring. And I always say, time is going to pass anyway, right? And whether time passes or not, we get to dictate what the outcome will be within a certain time. So like Sonia Joe just said, it would take me 15 years or X amount of years to become a doctor. 15 years is going to come and go anyway. And so at the end of the 15 years, if I'm working towards a particular goal, guess what? I'll get to that particular outcome because the time is going to pass anyway. Many of us, we get distracted with this idea that we should have certain goals met by a certain time frame. And I believe that to be one of the biggest kind of thieves of vision and visionaries. And this is especially true if you've grown up with a lot of adversity or you have circumstances in your life that require you to navigate life differently. Not everyone has the privilege of moving from high school to college, going to big universities, and then just focusing on studies without worrying about aging parents or siblings, or worrying about, immigration challenges, or worrying about finances, or worrying about health issues. Life is different for all of us. And I find that when we begin to compare ourselves or we begin to get distracted with time and feel like it's against us versus it's working for us, we miss out on so many opportunities. The time is going to pass anyway. Sonia Joe, I'm so excited for you that this opportunity presented itself to you, and your why is beautiful and powerful. And I'm looking forward to you going all the way, if God says so, and you becoming an actual doctor. So that's exciting. So let's talk about distractions. Rose, did you want to say something?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I want to say my why is I don't want my kids to go through what I went through. So growing up with 4 siblings, and all of them stopped going to school and elementary. So I am the only one that graduated from college. No, not college, high school. I didn't graduate college yet, but I'm 50 years old. I'm actually in college, so I want to break that curse, like the family member being going to. So my wise is like to see my kids not going to the same thing. But even though now they progress, I have one that's going to graduate next week with a master degrees, and I have one and pre-med. So I feel like I'm close to my why that's I was fighting for.
So good. Congratulations to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's very, very powerful. And congratulations for raising children and making sure that they have those opportunities. That's a very big win for your family.
Yes, it is. But I want to say to Joni, I think it's Sonia. So whatever you want to do, just do it. Like you just said, time gonna go as anyway. Just do it. My daughter, she's in pre-med. She's in 3rd year right now. So I always encourage her, like, don't looking at the time. Don't think like, oh, it's gonna be a 8 years, 10 years, and because time's gonna go like so fast, we're not gonna even realize it. Now she said, like, I can't believe I'm almost in my 4th years now. So keep going and you're gonna get there. And
That's
then
right.
always do what you want to do. I feel like now, me at my age, like force myself to go to college just to get a college degree because I said, I have like 12 siblings, none of them graduate high school. So I am the only one. I have to have my college degree. That's what I'm fighting for. No, like you young people, you still have time, you still can do it. If I do it, you can do it. So
That's right.
yeah, I was gonna say something that I forgot. So don't give up on your dream. I was giving up on my dream after high school because the possibility of money, because I didn't have a support from my family. I was by my mother only. So that's mean now in America, I see there's a lot of opportunity. That's why I run for it. I came here 13 years ago. I was like, I'm not gonna let that opportunity pass me. That's why I have another why, that I wanna be a social worker, just to help like young people to understand the importance of education. That's my dream. Now I wanna work with young people, like talking to them, see the opportunity, run for it, don't let it pass you. So yeah, that's all.
Beautiful. Well, Rose, I don't know if you know, but you've been getting a lot of hearts in the group and a lot of accolades in the chat. And we are very proud of you and we're very inspired by you. And I can hear your passion. When you're speaking, you are passionate and you are a visionary, because when you're a visionary, you envision this type of roadmap and this future. Doesn't mean you have all the pieces together. That's a process that comes with living and experience and failures and setbacks and growth. But the fact that you are passionate and you are determined, just congratulations to you again, and God bless you. I'm so inspired by you, and so is everyone else in the chat.
But I'm not gonna stop.
That's right. She's just getting started, y'all. She's just getting started.
50
Love
is
it.
my number. So I'm gonna be 51 not in September, but I'm gonna stop it to 50. I'm not gonna move from 50. I'm gonna stay there and pursue my dream. I'm not gonna looking at my age. No.
Right, love it. So just as she said, you know, age is just a number. Sometimes we get caught up in that. Oh my goodness, I'm almost 30. I don't have this here. Rose is a great model and example that it is a mindset. It is about priorities. It's about being intentional and purposeful. And it's about having a vision and holding and fighting for that vision. So very, very powerful. So time.
When I came here.
What's that, Rose?
I didn't speak any English when I came here.
Got it. Yeah, I relate to that. When I came to this country, I spoke no English. I had to go into a classroom by myself. There were no other students. It was a little kind of like a closet-sized room, and I had to learn English in that room. And that transition was very, very difficult. So that was very, very powerful. I know that there was a comment, but I wanted to call on, because this was really great. Isabel, can you unmute yourself? Are you able to talk? I'd like you to talk about your why. Hey, Isabel.
Hi, Jessica. How are you?
Good to see you. Yes, I'm so glad that you're here. Tell us about your vision and your why. How does your why with your children, how does that tie into your vision? What's that about? Share.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. After speaking, I have to leave with my children to buy something. My vision for my future is to finish my bachelor degree at Lima Community College, because my why is like my kids. Everything I say, my God, my kids, because they like give my inspiration, my stretch, everything what I need. I need to be a mother. I know I have some times to learn a lot with them, but everything what I need to do, I say English is not my first language. It's Spanish, but with the help of God, and when I see my kids, I want to realize that in the future is become a better life for them too, to help them and everything. That's my vision, and help others. And my experience as a model, as a teacher in my church, I am a teacher. Now I'm a director in the little kids. I love kids, and I think so. I don't know, but God helped me that way, what I need to help the kids and teach them. I know I teach them in Spanish, and everything I can, like in activities, reading books, reading stories of the Bibles, something like that. But it's my passion. I never realized that I love what I to do as a volunteer in my church, but wherever I go, when I see a kids, like, I don't know, but it's like emotion to me to help with maybe with the parents say something or advise something when I say they are very important for us because they are the future. Everything I say, you are the future because you will become maybe a doctor, maybe you will become a president wherever I go. That's I know, and all the world thinks of the kids is more important. And if you are a parent or if you are a student, please take a time and play with your kids, teach your kids everything and because they need us a lot, because when we was like a kids, I think so it's very, very important to watch what they are doing, everything. But I love what I do, and in my future, that's my advice. Maybe in the hospital, I will help kids to end the area of the kids because I love the kids. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And thank you so much for this vision, because this is very important as a student to going in the good way and to continue our education and become and help a lot of people. Thank you so much, Jessica, and you are so wonderful. And thank you so much, Mr. Jason, too. I love you so much.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I love you right back, and I'm so, so thankful for your courage and for your passion. Just speaking about the children and your love for young people, and you seeing the great gifts that they are. They are our future, you know, as we continue to pour back into them. Our society reaps the benefit or the lack of benefit for what we don't or do pour into them. So we need leaders like you who understand the value and the gift in our young people and children. And it starts in the home, and you're setting a model for that. So I heard a lot of things about what you said, Isabel, with your why. And I hope everyone that's in the room is inspired to really reflect and think about your why. Because again, the why is the thing that will help us to reshift our focus. So in everyday life, when the bills are piling up, when the stressors of life hit us, when relationship problems are in front of us, when health issues arrive, when people pass away that we love and we find ourselves in a state of grief, there are so many things that will try to rob us of our passion for life and our pursuit of our vision. And knowing our why gives us the ability to look up and beyond these things. It doesn't mean that we don't feel what we feel or we don't go through the process. It just means that we won't stay there. That's the most important thing. So often when life hits and difficult times come and we're in a place where we are grieving, or we do feel ashamed, or we do feel depression. Again, I'm not talking about clinical depression where someone has been diagnosed. I'm talking about situational depression that's been triggered by a circumstance. So often, if we stay in that place, the longer we stay, the more difficult it is to kind of get out of that funk and out of that place. So knowing that why is kind of like a booster to keep us moving forward. So let's talk about distractions. And if anybody else has a why they'd love to share, just let us know. We'd love to hear more because these have been really, really powerful and encouraging.
I would like to say
Fatima and then Suprina.
Hello, thank you very much for being here and for, providing us with so much guidance today. And Jason, thank you again. I want to say quickly that my why are it's my family, and especially my parents who are aging, and they don't have like all these benefits. They live in a third world country, so everything I do is thinking about them. And if I'm better, if I'm doing better, they're going to be doing well. So I have to make sacrifices now and say, hey, mom and dad, I cannot provide you with anything now, but I'm making sure you're going to be well in the future. So because sometimes it's difficult in some cultures to understand that now you cannot do something, but sometimes you gotta put yourself first in order to help others.
That's
and help
right.
yourself.
So good.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, no, that was really powerful. In order to help others, we have to help ourselves. This is why it's so important that as leaders, we have these moments of self-reflection and we have that self-awareness. Remember, we talked about in the beginning, having the self-awareness so we can have the compassion for ourselves. This is how we begin to set boundaries and we begin to show up in the world in a way where we protect our energy, we protect our space, we protect our heart and our emotions and the things that we need to show up healthy and whole and not just be functional, but to actually be fulfilled in the work that we're doing. So Fatima, that's so powerful. Thank you for sharing. I think Sabrina wanted to share her why.
Yes, so in the chat room I said my why is me. And I don't know if that makes sense. Christina said it does. I guess for me, I've tried to do a lot of things for other people and it wasn't making me happy. So I attempted to go to college twice before because my grandmother wanted me to, my family wanted me to, but that's not at the time what I wanted to do. So this time around, my decision was for me. I didn't let no one know that I was even registering, that I applied. I didn't let nobody know anything until I was in the class, first day of class. I was like, hey, I'm in school now. And everybody's like, well, wow, you didn't tell nobody? Because one, I didn't want that pressure of if I say it and then I don't go forward with it, everybody puts it on like, oh, there you go again. You didn't do it. So I did it. So everything I do now is for me. And as long as I'm happy, then I'm okay. And I guess another reason is a lot of people tell me that I have this power about me that I don't even know. So I'm sort of guess I want to tap into that. I want to find where that is, that everybody else sees it, that I don't see it. So that's some of it. Yeah.
No, that's good. I love that. I love how you said my why is me. You know, the reality is that in order for us to lead anybody, we need to lead ourselves first. And in order for me to be a model, in order for me to be an example, in order for me to make an impact, for me to discover my purpose, in order for me to really not just survive, but thrive, I need to focus on me. I have to heal. I have to grow. I have to learn. So what you're doing, Sabrina, is actually very healthy and very necessary in order for you to get to that next level. So thank you for sharing that. And it is going to work in your favor as you continue to grow and evolve. I encourage you to look at a book called Developing the Leader Within Me by John C. Maxwell. I think that book would really be a great book for the space that you're in now. Of course, after you read Look Up and Beyond by Jessica Janniere. So just wanted to throw that out there. Anyone else? I see some comments in the chat. Just want to make sure I don't miss anyone. Okay, awesome. So we're talking about our why, right? And so, all right, Sabrina, that's right, love it. So we're talking about our why and why that's important. I want to talk about distractions for a moment. I want to touch on that because as we move into our next reflection session, where you're going to have some time to journal, I'd like you to think about these things. What are some of the distractions that are creating the fatigue that you may be experiencing? sometimes the fatigue that we're experiencing, whether it's helper fatigue, whether it's anxiety fatigue, future fatigue, it's coming from distractions, things that we have not said no to when we should, things that we have not set a boundary around to protect ourselves, and they're zapping our energy. Now, I've had to learn this because I'm in a season of my life where my kids are getting older. I have 2 in college. One's getting ready to graduate next week. I have a high school student. My youngest son is in high school. And I have 2 aging moms, my mother and my mother-in-law, who I'm very close with, who I'm a caretaker for, and I'm the healthcare proxy for one of them. Actually, I'm a healthcare proxy for both of them, but my mom in particular, I'm her main caretaker, along with my mother-in-law, who I work alongside my husband and my brother-in-law. And I'm sharing this because in this season, which I'm called the sandwich generation, if anybody is around my age, we're considered the sandwich generation, where we have young adult children and we have aging parents, and we're kind of sandwiched in between that. And so I have learned that this season of life requires me to minimize my distractions, because my capacity is being stretched and being kind of filled by these personal and family obligations. And so when I come into my work, I have to make sure that I'm showing up at 100, that I'm showing up with a cup full. Otherwise, I won't be effective in the work that I'm doing. And for many of you, you're being stretched in many different ways. You're parents, you may be caretakers, you're working full-time jobs, you are the go-to person in your sphere of influence where your friends and people come to you and they say, hey, Dolly Ann, I need advice, or Rayon, I need you to tell me, what should I do about this here? Or Sally, I have an issue, can you offer some advice? And we have these people that take our energy and they take our time and our wisdom. And that's not always a good thing. And that's what I had to learn, that as much as I want to help everyone, that I can't help everyone, that I have to help myself, as Sabrina was saying, and I have to minimize my distractions. So what are some of the distractions that you find that you battled with, or that you notice the people that you're working with are easily distracted by? Number one answer usually is social media, so I'll kick it off with that. But just type in the chat or go ahead and unmute yourself and just share. Christina, can you unmute yourself and just share what you typed in the chat? Is she still on? Okay, there's a lot of background noise. No worries. I'm going to go ahead and read it. No worries. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to speak if you were able to. So Christina said a major distraction is helping others while neglecting ourselves. Making people other than yourself a priority is a distraction. If we are good, we can maximize the wellness of others. Yeah. So very, very powerful. And that's what I'm learning in this season of my life. Estelle said some family members, listen, that's a whole nother workshop, Estelle.
Yeah, for me, it is. I had to realize and come to, how do you say, I don't know whether it's unlearning or whatever that is, to adjust, like, listen, I'm gonna be doing tough love right now, because some family members, they can just so be destructive, some of them, they're kind of like parasites, so I was like, no, I'm gonna have to draw boundaries. You're draining me. So yeah,
That's good. How have you been able to set boundaries? What are some of the things that you're doing that might help other people who are dealing with very draining or toxic family members?
I mean, I just had to set my foot down, like have a conversation, like a healthy, how can I say it? Just say my views, like, listen, this behavior that you've been doing, it hasn't just that now. This is what it's doing to me. And it seems I am the enabler. Since I've been enabling this negativity or whatever this is, toxic behaviors and whatnot. So it's about time for me to,
That's
Yes.
good. So
Yeah,
having
because
that
we can be
honest-
enablers for that, for those kind of behaviors. You understand? Like, you know, she's my sister, he's my brother, he's my cousin. Oh, that's how. No, you're enabling that behavior if they're not correcting it. And most people, if it's draining you emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and all that, no, I have to be like, no, I got to take care of Estelle. Enough.
That's right. And if we're drained, like Estelle was saying, guess what? We are murky. We can't focus on our vision. And that's why we get stuck. Not only are we exhausted emotionally, but we're lacking vision because we can't see clearly, because our emotions are, again, in a place of chaos. There's toxicity, there's negativity. Estelle, that was really, really helpful. Anyone have any thoughts about what she said, or do you have any similar experiences, and what have you been doing? Sally, can you share?
Hi, Jessica, how are you?
I'm great, good to have you. So yeah,
Me
talk
too.
about that. I see you said your community. What are some of the things you're finding? Because I know that culturally, you know, sometimes there are things that are accepted culturally, and yet that doesn't mean that they're actually healthy or they're right. What are you finding?
There's many things, but mostly school, I had to kind of not listen to the community, because when I was going to school, going back to college, I was a non-traditional student. I was more than 30. So it's like, oh, you're too old to go back to school and stuff like that. Now I'm done. I mean, I'm done part of what I wanted. And there's many other things there's so many like social things you have to gather here. There's these gatherings, this, that. And if you don't join, oh, you think you're better than us. Oh, because you went to school, you think you're better than us. And, you know, I think joining the Leadership Academy was the best thing that I have ever done, because it had taught me a lot to ignore those things and just to focus on what I want to do and what can help me grow. So it had helped me a lot, ignore a lot of stuff. And I could go on with the community, but it won't fit the time.
Yeah, no, what you said is very, very helpful. And I know that there are people in the room that can relate, because again, every culture, every community has its dynamic, it has its things. Some things that we've brushed off as, you know, culture can be toxic, and there has to be one person that is the leader that says these things are not healthy, these things are not going to be acceptable, these things are not culturally responsible. And so I feel like with you, Sally, you are growing and you're evolving as a leader, that you're going to be a person that goes back into your community that actually sets a model of health and wellness and what's possible. So really, really excited for you and your journey.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, Rayon, we're gonna miss you. Make sure that you get you inbox me. I have a free gift that I'm giving out at the end. So if you're able to stay on, please stay on till the end, because I have a little treat for you guys. But I'm really enjoying listening to your feedback and the distractions and things like that. So anyone else? We talked about distractions of family relations, community, social media. I find that in community too, like I found that some years ago when I was very active in church, that there were a lot of people who I worked with that wanted to go back to school, or they wanted to do XYZ, but they were so busy serving and doing good things that they put their personal vision aside. And I find that sometimes that happens too because of fear. Sometimes we can do what appears socially acceptable, but deep down, we're really sabotaging our own growth and success, because the truth is we're really afraid to step outside of our comfort zone and do something different. We're afraid of what family members, or like what Sally was saying, people will say remarks and be like, well, who do you think you are? You think you're too good, you know, to be here. So it really is about having that clarity, removing the murkiness, and honing in on what is my why, how do I take my why, and how do I really begin to develop a vision. And in order to do that, I got to remove the distractions. Kim, talk to us.
Hi everyone. the young lady that was on just before me, I had one of my friends said the same thing to me. When I told her I was going to Hostos Community College, she just thought I was just taking a class. Just don't go in there for a class, like a free class or something. And then when she realized I was actually going to college, she said, "You too old to be going to college. Let those young people do that." And I was just so shocked that she said that to me, because going to school is good.
That's right.
I mean, I know, I just know that since I've been in school, I keep on saying to myself is that my plan is to go back to work, and I want to be a social worker for elderly adults, and that's what I want to do. And I don't know, because I'm like the young lady said, I'm up in age, and it's like the stereotype saying that people have that when you become a certain age, you can't do anything anymore. And it kind of bothers me, because I feel like this: if you have the energy and the will to do it, do it.
That's
I
right.
mean, everything, I just feel like that I'm going back to school to better me, so I can provide for me. And maybe I'm saying I right now, but that's the only thing I know how to do, because there's nobody else taking care of me but me. So let me go to school, get myself together, get a job, and take care of me. Because what I'm seeing right now during this pandemic and everything, ain't nothing good happening out here. So I'm glad I am in school.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, I am proud of you and I'm inspired by you. And listen, you had a lot of hearts going up and hands going up while you were speaking, Kim. And appreciate you just sharing. I'm going to turn it over to Bernice and then Christina.
Hello. What I want to say is, sometimes people who really want to help people do not get the help they need for themselves. So what I want to say is, it is better we work on ourselves, and then when we are able to do that, we will extend to offer help to others. I don't know if you are getting me.
Yes.
Yes, you try to help people. You feel compassionate about how people are going, what people are going through, what they feel, but it will come to you, or like it will be your turn for you to like have someone to even talk to. You wouldn't get that chance.
That's right.
So it is better you take a step, work on yourself, and then in the end, you know that this is where you want to be, and then you wouldn't have problem dealing with people. That's what I want to say.
That's good. That's so good. Thank you for sharing that. That was powerful. Christina?
Going back to, I missed her name. She was saying about someone not supporting her going back to school. The one thing that I could say about that is that people love to project their insecurities onto others.
Right.
And not only that, when they don't believe on themselves, they tend not to believe on others. That's why you have to be really careful who you share your goals with, your dreams. You have to associate with people that think like that. It's so like for you to have that support that you need, because we all need that support. So you cannot share something major with a 5-year-old, because they're not going to be able to comprehend what you're going through. It's a 5-year-old, and same thing goes for dreams and goals. You cannot share, even if you love the person, they might not have the capacity to understand where you're coming from. So that's one advice that I could give her.
That's powerful. Wonderful. Oh man, you were teaching right now, Christina. You were just teaching. That's a whole workshop. People projecting their stuff, right, onto others. And when they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe in you. And it's often a reflection of where they are. And so often if we're not careful, we take on other people's limitations. So I'm just really inspired and proud of everyone that has made the decision that, listen, I'm going to grow, I'm going to evolve, I'm going to have this self-awareness, I'm going to develop myself as a leader, and I'm going to continue to move from surviving to really thriving and living a life of fulfillment. And that's a process. That is a process. So I'm just really enjoying everyone's comments. There's some comments coming in the chat. I'm going to come back to them, but I'm going to go back to the screen share now, because as we prepare to move into our next reflection section and we're coming down to the wire, I want you to think about what type of support would help you move towards your vision, right? We identified the distractions, we identified what the why is. Now, what is the type of support that you could use? When I think about my situation with caretaking for my mom and mother-in-law, and just the dynamic that I'm operating and navigating, is I know that I need to delegate more things to other people. So I've had family meetings, I've asked my family to take and lift the weight from me in certain areas, like maybe you do the grocery shopping so that I don't have to. And if there's groceries in there, I can do the cooking, make sure the dishes are clean, so that way I don't have to clean the kitchen. Like, do those little things. Sometimes it's the little practical things that we need support with. But as you think about your own situation and you think about looking up and beyond to your vision, what are some of the ways that you need support? And be very specific. Be very specific. Does anyone have anything that you're realizing like, wow, I need to really get this type of support? The other support could be therapy. Someone mentioned earlier about seeking a therapist. I'm a very big advocate for therapy. I'm actually really thinking about very strongly and praying about going back to school to become a licensed therapist, because this is work that I'm very passionate about. And Christina said we all need therapy. I believe that to be true at some point in life. Having someone to help us process the difficulties of life is really, really great, because it helps us to step outside of the picture frame that we're in, that we can't see what's really happening. And so therapy is a great, great tool and strategy. But what is the support that you can identify that would help you really move towards your vision and lift some of that fatigue that you're experiencing and bring you to a place where you can look up and beyond and be inspired by what you see ahead? Anyone have anything that's coming up for you? And I'm going to go ahead and share the screen while you get together. So, and you can just go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any thoughts.
I think one support that I would need is for someone not to abuse the fact that I love to help people, because it gets me to a point where I don't even want to help myself. So I think that would be a major support, where I don't feel like helping people is wrong. I think that would be, yeah.
So one of the things that struck out to me, what you just said, Christina, is compassion fatigue, because I experienced that. So I've done a lot of suicide prevention work. A couple of years ago, before the pandemic, I was in that type of work very heavily in my community. And I also worked in my church. I've mentored young people. I have my own family conflicts and dynamics that I'm navigating. And just like you, I realized that I'm helping a lot of people, but they don't want to be helped themselves. And what I realized is that I'm getting upset with people who don't have the mental capacity. Maybe mental capacity is wrong. They don't have the intelligence or the awareness at the moment. I'm not saying that they're not capable of understanding, but they don't have the awareness to recognize that their behaviors are negatively impacting me. And then you have some people that are just selfish. But the reality is that I'm responsible for setting those boundaries and not allowing people to abuse and misuse my kindness and my compassion and my offer to help. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was something that was like a project for me. If you know, it was something that I had to really grow into and develop and learn. Got it. I see your yes, Christina. So let's take a moment to reflect. I want you to take out your pen and paper. And if you can screenshot this again, you're just bullet pointing some points. And then I'm going to encourage you to go back later on because I have something that I'd like you to work on after this workshop is over. Do I have a vision for my future, specifically the next 2 to 5 years of my life, and what do I really want? How has murkiness interrupted my ability to pursue my vision, and where do I need clarity? And then what specific things can I do right now to gain clarity and make progress towards my vision and goals? I'm going to play some music for about 2.5, 3 minutes, and then we're going to come back and begin to wrap it up. So remember, you can screenshot this page, which I recommend. Let me put some music on.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. The silent.
All right. All right. Don't feel stressed if you didn't finish. Don't worry. Remember, this is the beginning of a process to writing and developing your vision. The exciting thing about this is that after this workshop, I'm going to challenge you to go back and revisit this and really build upon this. So as we get ready to come down to the wire, I want to just hear from anyone in the group, what's coming up for you in these reflective questions? What stands out to you? What are you learning about yourself? Which question was easy to answer? Which one was a little bit more difficult? You can just go ahead and unmute yourself.
I would say for me, the 1 and 2 were easy to answer because that's what I've been dealing with already, as I shared a little bit. So as currently I'm very clear on what I'll be doing in the next 2 to 5 years is to pursue my master's in early childhood education, because I realize that's my main line of calling. And then the second one, I already how do you say it? English people, where are they?
You got this, you got this.
thinking in my language, okay, in order to interpret in English. I'm trying to find the vocabulary here. As I shared, like one of it, I discovered, or I realized that one of the murkiness or whatever that is that was interrupting my ability to pursue my vision was some family members, as I said, those parasites, toxic toxic people. And I just had to come to myself, like you start rediscovering Estelle. Hello, Estelle. Okay, you've been doing this for years, like you've been there for everyone else, and what are you doing right now? You know, you are all over. You need to, okay, what is it exactly that you want? Where are you going? And these people, the things that they are doing, how is it affecting you? So that was really interrupting to where I was going. You understand? So yeah, so 1 and 2 was kind of easier for me to answer.
Awesome, powerful, powerful. And I encourage you to go back and build on what you've identified, and then go back to number 3, the areas that you did get stuck. So here's what we're going to do to continue this rhythm and this flow of self-awareness, growing, cultivating our vision so we can look up and beyond. I'm going to share with you a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to take a quiz that I developed during the pandemic. It was so amazing because I wanted to create something that was a fun way for us to identify where are we on our journey. And in this particular case, in our resilience journey, all of us are getting our resilience muscle developed. And in order to access the quiz, I'm going to ask you today that you help complete this survey. So how many of you were inspired today? Did anyone leave here with at least one thing that you felt was encouraging, that was relevant to your life, that you felt is going to improve the quality of your leadership and your life? If the answer is yes, I'm going to ask you to click on the QR code or to pull up the QR code. I'm going to put a link in the chat if the QR code doesn't work for you. And I'm going to ask you to take this 2-minute quiz. While you're doing that, let me just close this out and get that actual link pulled up. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put up the QR code. So please stay with me because I'm going to explain this to you. And this is going to be really cool for you to have access to. And it's going to work in such alignment with the book when you get a copy of the book. So this link is here in the chat box. You want to click on the link. And when the window pops up, it's going to ask you for the code. You want to type in the code quiz. Thank you, Bernice. I appreciate that. So we're not going anywhere. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to go ahead and take the quiz, to take the survey, and just leave feedback about how you were impacted today. So just share with me, how was your talk? When you are done taking the 2-minute survey, just type done in the chat box. Just type done. I'm going to wait for you to say done. We have a good 5 minutes left, so this is a very fast process. It only takes about 1 to 2 minutes. Thank you, Sabrina. Sabrina is done. Remember, you can use the QR code on the screen, or you can go in the chat box and just click on the link. And I just need your feedback on how today's talk went. If there was one thing that impacted you, one thing that inspires you, one thing that you feel you can apply to your life. And remember to type done in the chat when you are done. You want to type quiz in the code box if you are just clicking on the link. Remember to type done in the chat box. Abby is done. Thank you. All right. I see you, Sonia Joe. Sonia Joe, thank you. She wrote done. We're gonna wait for a few other folks to just finish taking that brief survey. Rossini, done, thank you. Christina, done. Sally, thank you. So for those of you that are finishing up the survey, this is gonna give you access to a quiz, which is going to reveal where your resilience profile is. It's going to share with you whether you're at the unknowing level, if you're at the optimistic level. It's going to bring you to a deeper level of awareness. And it's going to be really cool and exciting because you can begin to see what are some of the things that may be holding me back outside of what we talked about, and that can actually help move me to the next level. And this is going to lift that murkiness and really help you to hone in on that why and on that vision. And it's going to feel so great because you're going to be so inspired to look up and beyond to those goals. I'm still waiting for a few more folks to say done. How many of you are still working on that brief survey? If you're having trouble accessing it, let me know. Esmeralda, I see you're done. Annie, thank you. And the wonderful thing about the quiz is after you take the quiz, your results will be emailed to you and you're going to get a free report. I see you, Estelle. Thank you for taking the survey and for your feedback. And that free report is going to be a great follow-up to the reflection questions that you've done today. Now, I want you to know that this is not homework or it shouldn't feel overwhelming. It should be something that you do in your downtime and in your time where you commit to your own personal growth. And I'm just really, really excited to have had this time with you today. This is what you're going to get in your inbox, and it's going to break down where you are. Thank you, Rose and Bompoundy Bridget. Thank you so much for sharing and taking that survey. And this will make sense to you when you get that email. Okay, so keep those dones coming in. And as we prepare to wrap up, I just want to give a great and warm shout out to Jason. Can we all just create some hearts or some claps or something for Jason and the incredible leader that he is? Listen, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for his leadership. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the team, the leadership team that brings me back. I think this is either my 4th or 5th year working with Hostos, and I am just so excited. I still keep in touch with students from 4 years ago, my first year, and I'm really, really grateful for the relationships that have been developed. And I encourage all of you to reach out to me, connect with me on social media. The email address and all my information is on that slide that I shared. Hopefully you screenshotted it. And again, thank you so much, Jason, for your leadership. I hope you feel better. And I'm just really, really thankful. So before I turn it over to Jason, if we were in person now, listen, we would be giving each other high fives and hugs and chicken wing, because some people, they don't want to shake hands, right? So you got to do the chicken wing. I see you, Kim. Kim said done. Thank you. Keep those dones coming in. So I'd like to take a group picture that I'd like to send over to Jason. Thank you, Dolly-Ann. If you would like to be in the picture, please put your camera on. If you don't want to be in the picture, you can take your camera off. But we're just going to take a nice group shot real quick before we officially log off. And I turn it back to Jason. And I want to give a shout out to Saba Hadi as well for your leadership, and thanks for being behind the scenes. Good to see you, Abby. So turn your cameras on, guys, so we can take a nice Hostos Leadership Academy photo. And if you want to fix your eyebrows or fix your hair, take a quick moment, you know, to get cute, you can do that now. Hey, Sally. Gonna give folks another minute. All right, Bernice. Hey, Bernice, good to see you. So yeah, listen, we want to see as many of your faces as we can. We just want to get a quick group shot so I can send it over to Jason and just capture this moment, because again, if we were in person, we would be doing this live and in person. Hey, Rosini. Rosini, am I saying your name right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. No, you're good. You're good. All right. For those of you that want to keep your camera off, you can do so. So for those of you that have your cameras on, at the count of 3, let's say look up and beyond, and let's give a smile and a thumbs up. Hey, Kim, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, look up and beyond. Love it, love it. Jason, back to you.
Thank you, Jessica. Let me add you here. So you guys can hear me, right? Thank you, Jessica, for always being an inspiration. I know that over the last 5 years, you have inspired a lot of people, motivated them to take risks and to sort of self-reflect and grow in their experience. And I value you as a partner in these workshops, and I always respect the work that you do. I'm proud to be affiliated with you. So thank you for being here. Let's give Jessica a round of applause, virtual or otherwise, however you guys do that. And as I said in the chat, everybody who is here today is going to get a free copy of Jessica's book, which she signed. They're already in the office, and I'll send a message in the email next week for you that you can start to stop by and pick that up along with some other things. As we prepare to wind down the semester, we have the Pass the Torch ceremony that we're going to have, and I'm going to get some candles to you guys. They are whatever they call these things. They're branded candles. They're not real candles. You don't light them. They're electric, battery powered, and some pins for the ceremony. So look forward to that. I also want to shout out a couple people here today. Sabrina, thank you for jumping on earlier in the session for teaching tidbits. You and Joshua and oh gosh, no, it escapes me. Who jumped on and represented us at that. Ashley, thank you so much, Sabrina. I'm suffering through a cold, guys, if you didn't hear that before. And then I also want to give a big shout out to my good friend Bridget Buampandi Thiambiano, who is nominated and has been accepted as the valedictorian for 2022 graduation. So Bridget, congratulations. Awesome. I know we had several students who are part of our group who were
Thank you
nominated
so much. Thank
as
you.
finalists. Congratulations to Bridget, and we look forward to
Thank
your
you.
speech. And thank you all for being here today. Thank you for your contributions. It's really inspirational to hear each of you speak about your own journeys. And know always that whatever the situation is, I'm always here to support you and back you up as you go along your journey. And be sure to use me as that reference. I'm still writing letters of recommendation for people who graduated in 2007. If I can do that for them, I can do that for all of you. That being said, I want to wish you a happy weekend. We got 2 more workshops before the end of the semester. I hope to see you next week for Tashina Salmon, and then Gio DeRice, who's a good friend of Jessica's, will close us out in 2 weeks. That being said, I'm going to try to keep from looking terrible with this cold. And say goodbye to everybody. Thank you for being here, Estelle, Rose, Kim, Sabrina, Sally, Abby, Bernice, Unaka, Rossini, Junior, Bumbandi, Christina, Esmeralda, Dalianne, Francine, Maria, Annie, Saba, and Sonia Joe. And there were a bunch of other people here earlier. Thank you all for being here. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next week. And hopefully we'll see each other in person a little bit over the last couple of weeks to get you those books and everything else. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jessica. Feel better, boss.
Yes, take care of yourself.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ginger up,
Bye-bye.
ginger up.
Yes, Estelle.
I'm going to try all that stuff. I'm going to try to do all that. Thank you, everybody. Really good to see you. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Yeah, have a great weekend.
Take care, everybody.